Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the podcast you come to when you're finally ready to take fantasy hockey seriously. My name is Nate Groot Niblink. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. And in this episode, Blake and I are going to tell you how to win in Week 19 of the fantasy season. Let's get it. Hello, everybody. Before we dive into planning for Week 19 of the fantasy season, I feel compelled to say a few words on the controversy that has enveloped the hockey community at large recently. I personally have no desire to get political on this podcast. I don't think anyone cares to hear my political opinions on this podcast. If you were hoping for some of that, just go listen to the Steve Dangle podcast and do some copy paste. But I do really care about the hockey community, and I want what's best for all of its members. This is obviously an NHL-centric fantasy hockey podcast, but I have a lot of love for women's hockey and a lot of respect for the years of hard work it took to get to the point where they now have a thriving professional women's hockey league with a great on-ice product. And that's why it was so disappointing for me and many others to see and hear the U.S. men's hockey team laughing at a sexist joke in the midst of their gold medal celebration. I'm sure some of them didn't laugh and some of them genuinely care about women's hockey, but time has passed since then, and as far as I've seen, only Jeremy Swayman and Charlie McAvoy have stepped up to a microphone with anything resembling an apology. And therefore, we're left with a message for thousands, if not millions, of young boys that sexist jokes are okay, and even worse, a message for many young girls and women that even if they achieve the pinnacle of success in the sport of hockey, they will still be nothing more than the butt of jokes and second-class citizens to the rest of this community. I personally have a mother, two sisters, a wife, two young daughters, one of whom is wrapping up her first ever hockey season shortly. I'm thinking of them when I say all of this. I'm also thinking of the 3.7% of our listeners who are female, a number I continually wish was higher, but understand more and more why it's not. I hope that you find a safe community with Apples and Ginos, and I want you to know I am actively working to make it so. And lastly, I want to address the 95% of our audience who are male. We are the ones who can look other men in the eye and say, that's not funny. We are the ones who can raise hockey-playing boys to become men who will celebrate women in this sport that we all love and who won't allow their accomplishments to be denigrated simply because they're female. Now, all of this talk is just talk, and I think women deserve more than just talk. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting a link to Grindstone Award Foundation in the description of this episode. That's an organization that provides funding for young female hockey players across Canada who have the passion to play but face financial challenges. If you feel so inclined, click that link, make a donation so that more young girls can get on the ice and experience the good in this sport that we all love. If there's a similar organization in your country, if you're not from Canada, feel free to donate to them instead. Once you've done that, send me a DM, email, Twitter reply, whatever, with a screenshot of that, and I will match that donation amount. I'll cap my matching at $500, but I really hope that we blow by that amount. It is my deepest hope that we can create a future in which hockey truly is for everyone.
Well said, buddy. Really well said. I'm happy you brought it up because yeah, I mean, it's been on my mind a lot the last few days here as well. And just to be clear, like this isn't about, the U.S. winning the medal or anything like that. It's not about being political. Like that's a whole other conversation that we're not trying to have right now. We're talking about the systems that are in place currently that perpetuate this sort of thing and looking the other way when you see something that contributes to that, right? And, I know I've been on Twitter the last week. It's been a crazy place, honestly. And I think, some people are saying, what's the big deal, right? And I think this particular situation is kind of like a tiny cog in a much bigger wheel, right? And until we start speaking up and also listening, right, I think our society is going to continue to be divided and that divide is going to continue to grow. And I just hate that. I have a young daughter as well. And I think about her a lot. I think about my wife, when things like this happen. And speaking up is about doing the right thing and doing our part to help move the needle towards like true equality and towards empathy, right? And listening and amplifying other people's lived experience, even though it's different from ours. So, that said too, I'm just really grateful for you, our listeners. I appreciate you so much. Both Nate and I do. And I know we're a fantasy hockey podcast, and we're going to get to that, folks. All right. But the world is changing, right? And it's cliche, but I want to make sure that we are setting an example for our kids. And I have a lot of hope. I really do. I have a lot of hope that this too shall pass. And I really feel like we can be a part of that. We can accelerate that by choosing empathy, right? I just think that's so important, and that's what we're about. So, let's raise some money for the Grindstone Foundation. That's really good. I mean, Nate talked about the money he'll raise. I'll match that as well, another 500 on top of that. So, that's it. That's enough said, right, Nate? I think we got to get into some newsies here. What do you say?
I think that's the most we can do at this point. Hope there's more we can do in the future. But yeah, I'm also open to hearing from all of our listeners. Anyone who wants to comment, wants to get in on the discussion, I'd love to hear from you. So, with that said, let's get into some newsies.
Newsies! Yeah. Weird newsies. All right, but we're gonna do it anyway. It's fine. We got to talk about Mikko Rantanen. Oh God, I mean, this guy's gonna be out for longer than 2 weeks. This is painful stuff. Speaking of pain, I just made a trade in a league I'm in with Nate here for Rantanen. I traded Mark Scheifele and Beckett Seneca. Shame on me, for Mikko Rantanen and Will Smith. With the hope that it was going to be a 2-week injury, it sounds like it's going to be longer than that. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, what do you think, Nate? Do you based on what the reporting you've seen, how long do you think it's actually going to be? Is he going to be out until playoffs, do you think? Or what's kind of your vibe on that?
Well, I'm pretty sure now that you've traded for him, he's going to be out for the rest of the season, and I'm going to crush you in the playoffs. But
It's hurtful.
if I take that hat off and I evaluate it a little bit more on an even keel, I think that you have to be a little bit nervous about it for sure, that it won't be just the 2 weeks. Dallas is in a relatively good spot in terms of their playoff position. I don't think they're going to feel a lot of urgency to get him back in before he's totally 100% ready. So that would be my concerns. But yeah, what's longer than 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? That's definitely up for debate. And yeah, that should give you some concern.
2 weeks in one day. That is what we're hoping for. That's still true. Thank you, Robert Tiffin from Twitter. Sticking with the Dallas Stars, lots of Stars news here today. Rupe Hintz, baby dry, still dealing with an illness. He didn't skate on Friday here, didn't play, but could get into the next game here. So check on that. Matt Duchene, was that Duchene? He's definitely a benefactor for Ranto being out. I mean, Duchene is getting that power play 1 deployment. Really nice stuff. He took a maintenance day on Friday, but he's going to play tomorrow on Saturday, so that's really nice. And then Tyler Seguin is done for the year as well, and the playoffs as he continues to deal with his knee injury. So rough stuff for Seguin there. Obviously wasn't a huge part of the team here this year. So, I mean, we know what this team looks like without him, but yeah, it's just kind of stinks for him. That's another big injury for him. But that's fine. All right, let's move on. We got to talk about Robert Thomas. Oh, God, the most mid. Is Robert Thomas even mid as a singer? I mean, yeah. Would you consider Robert Thomas mid?
I think he is in the 44th percentile.
Okay. I mean, that's generous. Let's be honest about that, Nathan. But yeah, Robert Thomas, the NHL player, might play on Saturday here. So that's really nice. So get ready to activate him. I think they're going to want to showcase him a little bit. This guy's in a lot of trade talks right now. So yeah, we want to see what's what. I'll be checking his ice time, and hopefully he gets kind of close to a full complement. We've seen that before. Guys come back off injury and just jump right in. So we'll see what happens with Rob Tom. We got to talk about Zach the Butler Benson. He did not play here on Friday with the team, but he is going to travel with Buffalo, could play on Saturday. So keep an eye out there. Check his deployment, right? This is a guy who's had power play 1 at times with the team. He's played with Tage at times with his team. So yeah, it's really, he's going to be a player of interest for me if he's getting good deployment. John Carlson of the Washington Capitals still dealing with an injury. Sounds like it's taking a little bit longer to heal than expected. That's as per Spencer Carberry. Still day to day, but yeah, it's a little bit concerning, right? And again, like the Capitals are trying to make a push here as well, and give themselves a good shot at some good playoff positioning, get in the playoffs, obviously, and some good playoff positioning. So they need Carlson back. So we'll see what's going on there. He's not going to play the next game, and he's not traveling with the team. So that show ain't no good. Okay. Over to LA Kings. Actually, what did you think of Panarin with the Kings there? Like that looked pretty good. I saw some tweet out there that was like, he's just going to will like Quentin Byfield into some points just by, being out there on the ice. But he looked good to me. I mean, this is a real game breaker, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Panarin is safely in the echelon of players who don't need other guys to be functional for them
Yep.
to create offense. I mean, look what he did for Alexis Lafreniere all these years. I just couldn't resist that shot. But
And what did he
I
do?
do really think that Panarin is a special caliber of player. And yeah, you got to see a little bit. Even Jim Hiller can't hold Panarin down.
Exactly. But don't even think about it, Jim. All right. What are you doing? Brant Clark on power play 1-2. Yes, please. That's nice. And sorry, one more thing on the Kings. Damn, I think they're the black and white, like with the matte helmet. That might be my favorite fit in the entire league. I don't know. What's yours? Do you know?
I'd have to think about it for a minute. That's definitely up there, though. It is pretty sick.
Oh man, it's just mean looking. Like I love the Canucks one, but I think the Kings is even meaner. It just looks badass. All right, shout out to these boys. I was talking about Drew Doughty. I don't know when I went in there, but yeah, he left. He left Thursday's game with a lower body injury. Check his status if you're rostering him, and if you are, why are you rostering him? That's kind of the question. Fun fact: I have him in 2 places, so that's fine. I'm just kind of self-deprecating. Over to the Panthers. Sasha Barkov practicing with the team. I saw like a really nice clip of him doing some board work and just kind of going in and taking some shots. The guy is so awesome, man. What a travesty. This guy was out for the year. He's not traveling with the team, but he himself has said that he's coming back soon. What's sort of your appetite, Nate, for a Barkov stash? Do you think if he's out there, like, are you using a move to pick up Barkov in the hopes that he can bring you some value come playoff time?
I mean, if you got a bunch of moves and you're not even sure what to do with them, then sure. But I mean, the Panthers are 8 points out of a playoff spot right now and a game behind the Bruins for that playoff spot as well. And there are 4 other teams ahead of them in that race. Like, they would have to make some serious hay to get back into this thing. And if they're not getting back into this thing, then why would Barkov be back? Like,
Yep.
what are they going to do? That, to me, I would be pretty surprised to see Barkov come back. Of course, if he does come back, then you're going to be pretty excited about that because he's terrific, and he's also not the brand of player that needs like explosive speed to make stuff happen out there. He can definitely get to work on the power play and do some short area stuff that will net you some fantasy points. So yeah, if he does come back, he'll definitely be a needle moving player. I'm just pretty skeptical at this point that that's actually going to happen.
One of my hot takes this year: the Panthers missed the playoffs due to
Looking
injury.
good.
It's coming, folks. Just call me Mystic Blake. Okay. No one's ever called me that, and no one should. Okay. Let's move on. Talk about Troy Terry. He's day-to-day with an upper body injury, missed the game here on Friday. Mikhail Granlund missed Friday as well with an upper body injury. So the power play without those players, pretty nice. Cutter made it his way up to power play 1. So that's nice to see. We got to check the power play 1 when those players come back. I think they're both sort of earmarked for that position. Unfortunately, for Granlund especially, like I think Granlund should be on power play 2. What are we doing? We got to get Cutter up there. But anyways, something to think about. Check next game. Some things that happened here tonight, which is Friday. Joel Eriksson Ek left Friday's game after taking a high stick. No update from the ketchup man, Jay Hines. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on there. That could really accelerate a Vincent Trocheck trade to the Wild. I mean, yeah, Jeek has been playing really good as of late. So we'll see what happens. They'll be pretty thin up the middle if he can't go. And then Uvis Balinskis of the Panthers, going back to the Panthers, he blocked the shot in the first period. Friday's game, went to the room, came back, then didn't come out for the second period. So yeah, it's going to be Ekblad season on power play 1, I believe. But yeah, I have Uvis Balinskis in APL. Well, where else? The place I'm getting the most decimated with injuries, and I really want a lot of sympathy from you people. Please hit me up in the comments with any nice messages and well wishes, right? Thoughts and prayers to my fantasy team in the APL. It's been a hot mess, but that's it, folks. We gotta attack that schedule. Nathan, get the biz.
All right, let's attack that schedule. Monday, we have 6 games. Tuesday, we have 11 games. Wednesday, we have 5 games. Thursday, we have 8 games. Friday, we have 7 games. Saturday, 11 games. And Sunday, 11 games. This is 55 total games played, so it is a heavy week, but it's not going to feel like it with all of these games spread out so much. Yeah, even 11 game heavy nights on Tuesday and Saturday being the heaviest nights of the week. You might even have some room on those nights. And the other nights, you probably will have room. So you're going to have more optionality this week than a lot of others. So it is a stream heavy week for sure. Getting into it a little bit more in terms of the granular stuff, no team has a Sunday Monday back to back, so you're not going to have that option to get a last second Sunday stream with a Monday on top of that. There are 4 teams with a Monday Tuesday back to back to open the week, though. Those are Colorado, Columbus, Dallas, and Nashville. 5 teams with Monday Wednesday off nights around that heavy Tuesday 11 game slate: Carolina, Detroit, Seattle, Toronto, Vancouver. 6 teams with Wednesday, Friday off nights: Anaheim, Carolina, Detroit, St. Louis, Vancouver, and Vegas. And 9 teams with Friday, Sunday off nights. So you're going to have plenty of options to get away from that Saturday 11 game heavy slate. Anaheim, Chicago, Colorado, Dallas, Detroit, Edmonton, Minnesota, St. Louis, Vegas are the teams there. So yeah, just looking at this as a whole, there are a lot of great options. There are a lot of full week options that you can probably get 4 games from a streamer. This is not a week to be shy about going hard on the streaming. Anything to add there, Blake?
With these type of quality weeks, I think that I love kind of stacking up front half and back half, right? So if you can get a team that has 3 games in the first 4 nights, a team like Columbus, or as long as you can get the players in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a team like Toronto, right? Or like it. I like doing that. So one move gets you 3 games, and then you look at kind of getting the off nights on the back end. So that's really good. 5 games for 2 moves. That's how we stream, folks. So I really like that. Back to backs are going to be in play for sure.
All right. Let's get into some lowered expectations.
Oh yeah. I hate that this is my segment, right? It's like, let's lower those expectations. Blake, take it away. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we got to talk about some lowered expectations. And this segment is where we talk about the worst teams to stream or potentially drop players from. We're going to roll through here because it is such a good streaming week. Just disclaimer, you don't have to drop, players from these teams, right? It's not necessary. So, what I will talk about is there are 5 teams that play 3 games with just the one off night. Really stinky stuff. But the worst team that we have here is going to be the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals play 2 games with 0 off nights. So they play on the Tuesday, which is an 11-game Tuesday, and then they play the Saturday, which is an 11-game Saturday. So what does that mean? We got to look at some of these Capitals here and figure out what we're doing, right? There's some really good options here that are going to make for some hard decisions. So Nate, I'm going to throw some of these to you here. We've got players like Alexi Protas, who's been playing really, really good. I mean, last few games here, he's been getting good minutes, and he has 4 points in the last 2. It's pretty damn nice. Our boy Protus, he's doing stuff out there. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a really nice game here tonight, which is Friday, had 2 goals. Really nice to see. And an assist, 6 shots, 19 minutes, 37 seconds time on ice there. You'd like to see that. You got McMichael, Leonard, Sortif, all guys we've been interested in the past. What's kind of your feeling on some of these Washington Capitals here, Nate? And what are you doing with players, specifically players like Protus and Dubois? Like, those are guys that are going to be helpful for you moving forward.
Yeah, I think they will be helpful. I'm a little bit higher on Protus than Dubois. I think that Protus has shown that he can be very efficient at even strength, whereas PLD has not shown us that extent of efficiency at even strength. And so that's the kind of line of demarcation that I'm using between those two there.
What?
They were playing together.
I'll define that later, folks. Don't worry.
Okay. PLD, I just don't have a ton of confidence in it sustaining for a long period of time. I think PLD is definitely a guy who can be fantasy relevant for stretches. I don't think you're going to regret for the rest of the season if you drop PLD in a 2 game week, especially if you got to win. If you got to win, like if you're on the outside looking into your playoffs, it's go time. A lot of leagues, you only have 2 weeks left here, right, of the regular season. You got to win. You can drop players that you might not think about dropping earlier on in the season.
Yep, there you go. So something to think about. Yeah, it's going to be some tough decisions, I think, in Washington there. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm trying to keep Protas. I don't know. I want to keep PLD. I got him in one spot when he, before the Olympic break, and I felt really good about myself. And then for him to come back and actually pop and get some points on the board makes me feel like a big man. Whatever. All right, let's talk about the next set of teams here. There are 5 teams that play 3 games with 1 off night. They are the Calgary Flames, Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, San Jose Sharks, and the Utah Mammoth. So let's start in Calgary, that offensive juggernaut. Unbelievable stuff coming out of Calgary here these days. Actually, they just popped for 5 goals the other night. That was nice to see. But anyways, so keeping in mind what Nate just said about some of these Washington players, we got guys like Uyghur, who is getting power play 1 over Zane Parekh currently. That's going to be an interesting decision. You got Nazem Kadri, who is trade bait. He's almost, basically requested a trade at this point. So that's kind of an interesting piece. You got Blake the Snake Coleman, Zane Parekh, Matt Coronado, and then you've got some other options on power play 1 as well. Guys like Joel Farabee, Matt Gridden. Talk to me about the Calgary Flames here, Nate, and where's that cutoff line for you?
Yeah, I think you can drop players from these teams. Kadri's a tough one because you could wake up at any point throughout the week next week and Kadri could be playing in a
Yep.
different uniform, and obviously the schedule is going to change at that point. Um, Kadri did have a nice night there, a couple goals if I remember correctly. So maybe he's on his way back, and we should expect better things moving forward. But again, if he goes to a new team, what's that role going to be? He's not going to be getting top line minutes. Probably if he goes to a contender, probably more of like second line minutes. Probably not power play 1. So all of those things make me think that you probably can drop Nazem Kadri if he is truly the last player on your roster, the lowest performing player. I would just caution you to look at what he's been doing recently because it's been a lot better recently. And I think there's a good chance that that continues as long as he's getting those minutes and those looks in Calgary. Other players, honestly, I feel like we're getting to the point we can drop a lot of them. I think Uyghur's being kind of shown off on Power Play 1. Not that it's working, but I think that's what they're trying to do with Uyghur there in case they get a really nice offer for him. Whether or not that comes to fruition is definitely up for debate. So there's not really anybody on Calgary that I feel like you gotta hang on to this guy at this point.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I mean, I'm trying to hold on to Uyghur for sure, especially in a week like this where you have 3 games. You don't have to drop him. And
Yeah.
Kadri to me is a stash. He's a guy you
Mm-hmm.
hold like if you can. But yeah, like Nate said, we're getting to the point where you're going to hear Nate and I talk a lot about being cutthroat, right? You got to do what you got to do to get those dubs, right? So if you can't get this guy into games, bounce him. Let's talk about the next team, the Montreal Canadiens. And yeah, some options here too. Again, like I think Calgary is an easier team to drop off of because their offense is so poor. But the
Yeah.
Canadiens are actually a pretty good team, right? And some of these options are part of that offense. And guys like Ivan Demidov, you got the Professor Mike Matheson out here. You got Zach Bolduc. You got Kapanen. You got Alexander Texier. Where is that line for you? Like, and I think it's kind of Demidov and the rest. Like, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. Demidov, I don't want to drop because I think the ceiling is so high. Like this is a guy who you could really regret dropping, and those guys are always tough to drop. Again, I'm not saying you can't if that's truly your situation, 10-team league, whatever you're in. There are definitely situations in which it is probably the correct play to drop Demidov, but I do feel like he is probably the only player on that list. Obviously, you're not dropping guys like Caulfield or Suzuki or Hudson or anything like that, but of the guys who you might actually consider, Demidov is the guy I'm trying to hang on to there. Pretty much everybody else, Matheson included, I would be pretty happy to drop.
Yeah, I dropped the Professor in 2 spots this week because Montreal doesn't have a good schedule, and then into next week where they don't really have a good schedule. So Bye-bye, my man. We need Mike Matheson back on power play one. Lane Hudson, get the hell out of my sight. We got the professor here, all right, the distinguished gentleman. Get him in your life, not this week or next week. Okay? All right, let's talk about the Senators of Ottawa. And we're looking at, again, some good options here. Dylan Cousins is out here. 3 points in his last 5 games, pretty nice. Underlines aren't terrible either. Minutes are okay. I mean, you got Thomas Chabot, who's going to be a good, third, fourth defenseman for you. Claude Giroux still doing stuff out there, barely. And then you got the Pinto Bean. Yeah, Shane Pinto. I'm finding it so hard to hold Shane Pinto. I think I've held him in a lot of spots just because I like him. And I also like saying the Pinto Bean. That's not good process, folks. So, Nate, talk to me about the Senators here. I mean, Cousins is the guy I'm really looking at trying to hold. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be nice to hold Dylan Cousins. It's worth noting the Senators seem to be conclusively established as a seller at the deadline here. So who that includes and who that doesn't include is definitely up for debate and would be pretty interesting to know one way or the other. So keep that in mind when you're making any decisions around Senders as well. I would like to try to keep Cousins. I would like to try to keep Chabot, honestly, because, his underlings actually look pretty good. 34th individual expected goals for per 60. Not too bad. Obviously going to skate some pretty big minutes for Ottawa as well. That being said, this is a team that's probably trending in the wrong direction, and I'm not going to feel too bad about letting somebody go.
Yeah, that's crazy. They're sellers. I mean, I not that I had high hopes for them. I don't necessarily like the Senators. I guess I like some of the players on the team. I want them to do well, but I wasn't expecting a bunch, but I did think they'd be in and around the playoffs, and it just hasn't gone well. Terrible goaltending here this year. Really bad stuff. Like the underlings for that team are actually pretty good defensively.
Yeah.
The goaltending has really kind of let them down, and we know some of the stuff that's been going on with Allmark, and then Marilainen comes in and just poops the bed, right? Just dumps all over everybody. So sorry about that, folks. Let's talk about. We got to talk about the San Jose Sharks. This is a team I was hoping would come out of this break and kind of go on a little bit of a heater, and it's kind of gone the other way. They haven't looked very good, right? So we got players. Will Smith. I mean, I'm not dropping him because I traded it. He's basically who I traded Mark Scheifele for at this point. So I'm keeping Will Smith on my one team no matter what until the wheels fall off. But he's still looking good. He's getting the minutes and the underlines are good. I'll let you talk about that, Nate. Kiefer Sherwood getting power play 1 on the Sharks. That's big, right? That's must roster stuff. And in a week like three games and 1 off night, like I'm not looking to get off Kiefer Sherwood. He had massive shots, massive hits in his last game. He's not getting it done, but it's still a new team. You got Jeff Galooly, Tyler Toffoli. You got William Eklund, Dmitry Orlov, and Wenberg, Alexander Wenberg. They had him out there instead of Will Smith on the 6-on-5 at the end of the last game there. That's wild stuff. So, I mean, the coach really likes Wenberg with Celebrini. Yeah. So I threw him on this list just because of that, right? He's getting 20-plus minutes every night. He's going to walk into some points for sure. What do you think about the Sharks?
Yeah, the only guy I think you absolutely must hold on to here is Will Smith. I've talked a lot about how much I like Will Smith dating back to the offseason. Just under 19 minutes average time on ice in the last 5 games, 52nd shots per 60, 57th individual expected goals for per 60, 74th on ice expected goals for per 60. Some of that with Celebrini, obviously power play time and some even strength time, but some of that away as well. I think Will Smith is really maturing into a star in his own right, and we're seeing it this year already. Kiefer Sherwood, like you said, that power play 1 is pretty intriguing. I would be worried that it doesn't stick around, and then you held Kiefer Sherwood through a tough week, only to be rewarded with like line 3 power play 2, just because they want to try to get a bottom 6 line going or something. That's a real possibility. I'm not saying it's the most likely possibility, but it is a possibility with Kiefer Sherwood.
That's all he needs.
That's what I'm a little bit worried about there. Toffoli, Eklund, I like both players. I do think you can probably drop them. Eklund's minutes have gone way down from where they were earlier in the season, so I do think you can drop him as well, and he's not going to hurt you. Orlov, Wenberg, yeah, definitely you can drop those guys.
Jeez, Wenberg's numbers are terrible. Oh my God. But he's out there, folks. I mean, you gotta fake it till you make it. I think he's doing that, so shout out to Wenberg. Let's talk about the last team here. Again, 3 games, 1 off night. It's the Utah Mammoth. I always want to say the Utah Saints. I know I've said that before. Is there any Utah Saints fans out there? You remember in the 90s, the band Utah Saints? You remember that, Nate? You were probably just being born. The hospital probably had Utah Saints playing over the radio. Do you have any memory of that?
I cannot say that I do.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? All right, let's talk about the Mammoth because Nate's pissing me off. Okay. So Logan Cooley, he's back. All right. And he's on power play 2. What the hell's going on? Get Barrett hating the hell out of my sight. You got JJ Paterka, Lawson Krause, 2 goals here on Friday. Really nice stuff. You got Jack McBain, Sean Dursey. And I'm just so surprised that Nate didn't put the Italian stallion, Michael Carcone, on the list. And Barrett Hayton. We got to get those 2 guys in there. But where's your cutoff? Where's your cutoff here for the Mammoth?
Yeah, I can't drop Cooley. I do think you can drop Paterka. I am growing to be less and less a fan of this player as time elapses. Yeah, I just don't know if it's there for him to change games the way that the other top guys for Utah do. And so I do think you can drop Paterka in this situation, and basically everybody else below him. Cooley is the only one that I feel strongly you need to keep.
Yep, I like that. I mean, I will say for Paterka, I think I agree with you, but it's Paterka on Utah and with the current sort of opportunity. I trust the player. I actually really like the player and what he brings to the table and his underlyings, his transition game, we've seen in the past, like shot and chance generation individually, really good stuff. It's just he's not getting the minutes and he's not getting power play 1. So it's kind of hard to expect what we expected of him in Buffalo. So I agree with that. Dropping Paterka there. There are also 9 teams here that play 3 games with 2 off nights. But again, you don't need to drop these teams. It's a quality week, folks. That means you can find the best players and make it make sense for your, the gaps in your roster and get the hell to biz. But that's it, folks. We got to get into a little segment that we like to call Crossing the Streams. Oh, yeah, that hurt my throat. Okay. Yeah, it tastes a little bit of blood here. And yeah, Nate, I got something that's been on my mind here, and I feel the need to let you know, just kind of as the elder statesman here of the Apples and Ginos podcast, something that's coming your way, in the next few years, honestly. And like, I'll just get into it. Like, Nate, do you ever go, like, let's say you go take a whiz, right? And you think you're finished, right? And you shake, right? You shake like there's no tomorrow. You're shaking like crazy, right? Sometimes too long. And then when you feel satisfied that that's done, you zip up and you leave, right? And then what happens, right? The first thing that happens when you walk away, you spray the inside of your zipper. Okay. It just, it's dribbling out. It's terrible, right? And I'm sorry to break it to you, Nathan, but the seal is not as good when you're in your 40s. I mean, hit me up in the comments, buddy. Like, is there anybody out there who's experiencing this as well, right? Changing my underwear at midnight. I mean, I don't want to do that, right? So anyways, I'm like that. That said, I go to the doctor just for a regular checkup, right? Not about that, but I mentioned it to him, and he says, "Oh yeah, this is pretty common with men your age, right? We categorize this as residual drip phenomenon, right? Have you heard of that, Nathan?
I have not.
Okay, some people call it the surprise sequel. You ever get that?
I understand the phenomenon.
Oh, you're getting the phenomenon. Yeah, I'm trying to be clear here. And he says to me, we've seen favorable outcomes, right, in patients who engage in intentional stream convergence therapy. And, he says, I said, what? And he goes, the coordinated hydrological overlap appears to regulate stress hormones and improve long-term urethra resilience. And I said, doctor, please explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I don't know what the hell you're saying. And he goes, you need to cross the streams. Right? And I said, doc, say less. Okay. I'm all about it. That's what I needed to hear. Right. And he goes, okay, well, let's get you on a plan here. I want this performed in a low wind environment. Okay. Quarterly at minimum, semi-annual is insufficient. And I said, doc, is there any side effects if I do it daily? And he says, hell no. Okay. The more you're able to do it, the better, but you just need to find a willing partner. Right. So Nate, I mean, I feel like there's been enough time. Like I'm developing a real problem here, and you could help me out. If I wanted to formally ask you, Nate, Can we start crossing the streams again?
Brother, I will never turn down a stream crossing with you.
That's what I wanted to hear, buddy. Banana bread at work, bro. Hell yeah. That's what we're all about here. We're crossing the streams, folks. So yeah, that feels good. That's giving me a warm fuzzy. All right, it's giving me a funny feeling in the pants. Okay, but we got to talk. That's terrible. I'm sorry, Nathan. We got to talk about the teams that are best to stream from. All right, this is fantasy hockey, Nathan. All right, this isn't a circus sideshow. I'm sorry. All right, let's talk about the teams, folks. Thank you for that. We got a clear winner here in week 19, folks. The Detroit Red Wings. All right, they got 4 games all on the off nights. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. It's good stuff. So we got to get some of these guys in our life. But again, remember, you don't have to do week-long streams. You can, but you don't have to. So make sure it makes sense. Make sure you're getting the best player available. And there's a couple good ones here on Detroit, guys that should be available. Patrick Kane. What? We've been talking about this guy for months. I mean, if he's out there, I think this is a perfect ad for you here this week. I'm going to mention some other guys here, Nate, because there's lots of decent options, certainly in category leagues too. Simon Edmondson, Ben the Sherratt, right? You got Andrew Kopp, you got Marco Casper, JVR, Emmett Finney, ASP as well. I mean, based on some of the latest lines there in Detroit. I think we're probably in agreement that Kane's your Huckleberry. That's the guy you're going for. But how are you ranking some of these other Red Wings for our listeners?
Yeah, I like Evanson doing some category stuff there. Kopp is playing between Kane and DeBrincat, and they've actually seemed to have found some chemistry there, maybe over the last month or so. So, in deeper leagues, you could do worse, I guess, than Andrew Kopp. It's never going to feel great, but those are the guys that I think I'd be targeting. Obviously, if Kane is available in your league, that's number one with a bullet.
Yeah, sweet. Any interest in some of these lower end guys like JVR or Finney or Casper? Or is that more kind of like deeper league, category league kind of options?
Yeah, I mean, Casper's playing up there with Larkin and Raymond. It hasn't necessarily gone terrifically, I would say, but it's a spot where he may produce a little bit more. Like he's shooting a little bit more. The hits are there for sure. So, I mean, he'll probably provide you with at least a few peripherals, but it has really been a season to forget for Marco Casper.
Yes. He was hit really good at last half of last season, so maybe he's got some gas in the tank here. But anyways, let's move on there are 7 teams that play 4 games with 3 off nights. So we're going to get into some of these teams here. Anaheim, Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, Toronto, the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, my God. And the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, 4 games, 3 off nights. Let's dive in. We'll start in Anaheim. This team is playing some run and gun puck right now, and it's working out for them. But man, this is a dangerous game. We got a lot of bits and pieces here on the Ducks, and I'm curious how you're going to rank these players here. Definitely, kick tires, check, see if Jacob Trouba's out there. Obviously, in a cast league, he should be rostered, but he's doing almost enough with some of the peripheral stuff. If you have some banger waiting in your points leagues to maybe be viable there. Troy Terry is also 52% rostered. Now that he's injured, maybe that goes down a little bit. So definitely check and see if Terry's out there. But Nate, I want you to rank guys like Mason McTavish, Beckett Seneca, Mikhail Granlund, who is injured right now, Radko Gudas, and then Chicken Necks, Chris Kreider.
Yeah, I mean, I like all the players on Anaheim, honestly, especially in this current setup. If I'm just talking about the forwards here, we talked about Terry being a little bit banged up, so obviously check status there before doing anything, but I would take Terry first still, but he's right there with Seneca. I think those two are in a tier. And then Granlund and Kreider are probably the tier below that. And again, pretty interchangeable. I like both players. McTavish is still yet another tier below that. I want to believe that it's going to come around for McTavish. It just really hasn't this year. Season to forget for him as well. And so that's a player that I want to have it happen, but it just continues to not happen. And at this point, 2 weeks left. I'm not making my ads based on hopes and prayers anymore.
Yep, absolutely. And on McTavish, I think that's a player that still has a really bright future. I think if we look at what we saw early on in the year, I know I've mentioned this so many times, but I want to keep banging this drum. Like his line when he was with Beckett Seneca and Cutter Gauthier was in the top 3 in the league in expected goals for with a really good sample size, right? That's according to Money Puck. So this is a guy that's a really good facilitator, and he's kind of an underrated piece on that line. Yeah, like he's on a 48-point pace. He had, a 56-point pace last year. So it's a bit of a dip for him, but I think the future is really bright for Mason McTavish. Just might not happen here this year. Let's talk about Carolina. Nothing could be finer. And we're looking at some of the second and third line options here. Obviously, put some stank on it. Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Taylor Hall. That's a line there that's looked pretty good in that last game that Carolina played. So I'm a fan of those players. You got Jordan Stahl out here that he's been getting some power play time and actually doing something with that. So it's worth a look. Sean Walker, Jacob Slavin. What are you doing? Like, talk about the forwards and then talk about, maybe Walker and Slavin and how you're ranking them too.
Yeah, I do like that line. You mentioned Stankoven, Blake, Hall. I think that has potential to get stuff done at even strength. And we all know that Carolina will play their second and third lines a decent amounts. So I don't hate that either. Jordan Stahl is still power play one, but he does get off earlier than the rest of the guys
He's
most
tired.
often. And Nikolai Ehlers comes out, and suddenly the Carolina power play looks much more dangerous. Funny how that works. Overall, I think I'm still probably leaning towards Jackson Blake as the number one player here, but Taylor Hall, like, I do think there's still a good player there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't honestly know why things haven't gone as well for him as it feels like they should have. So I still think that Taylor Hall is a decent look, and Logan Stankoven. Like, I think these guys are pretty close to all just being in a tier together, but I think I would still rank it Blake, then Hall, then Stankoven at the moment. But again, that could change. And then, yeah, in terms of Walker, Miller, Slavin, these guys, uh,
Nikishin
uh,
too.
yeah, Nikishin you could throw in there for sure. It's just a situation where as long as Gostisbehere's out there, Nikishin's not going to get a lot of run, and he's playing fewer minutes than we would like for fantasy purposes, that's for sure. Last game here plays 16-13, still
Gross.
racks up 4 shots, a hit, and 4 blocks. I love Nikishin, the player. I'm just not convinced he's going to get the ice time to make it work. So I think I would go Miller first there, then probably Walker, then Slavin, then Nikishin. Like, I don't want Nikishin to be that far down, but it's so hard to trust a player who's like feels like he's living on the edge of getting scratched every night.
Yeah, you need a guy on the ice for sure. I love the Hall show too. I really like that player. He's offensively, he's doing all the right things, but this is a guy kind of on the back end of his career, obviously. And yeah, he had his biggest success when he was the guy, right? And he's never going to be the guy again. So yeah, it's a nice supplemental piece. I think he's fitting in well to this system. But yeah, the short and dirty version is, yeah, he's good under the hood. So there you go. Let's talk about the Colorado Avalanche. And yeah, it's funny whenever we talk about the Avalanche, like who's on power play one, and then I remember like their power play is the worst in the entire league. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't even matter at this point, but it does matter. It's going to, like, when you have skilled players like that out on the ice, like it eventually it's going to start clicking. I can't fathom them being 32nd overall in the entire league in power play percentage at the end of the year. If they are, I don't know. That would have been the most epic hot take of all time. But yeah, so we're looking at Valerie Nichushkin, Nuke. He's 57% rostered. I've heard lots of people in our Discord too talking about he's out on the wire, and I'm interested for sure, especially in a week like this. That's very low risk. You got Josh Manson out here, 50% rostered. Why? It's weird.
Yeah,
Devin
that one
Taves,
game.
yeah, really. Like everyone's like, I gotta get in on this. Like, do you? I don't know, 50%. Damn. Zucchini Man still only like 30% rostered. Like, what are we doing? Anyways, shout out to the Zucchini Man. Devin Taves, I'm not interested. Gabe Landeskog, though, hell yeah. Brother, banana bread, hell yeah. We gotta get we'll talk about Landeskog later, but yeah, I think he's in for a big end of the season here. Sam Malinsky, Ross Colton. Don't try and hit him up on Cameo. Okay, he doesn't answer messages there. That's fine. But talk to me about the Avs. What's your take on like Nichushkin and Landeskog? That's really the biggest piece that I'm interested in hearing about.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Landeskog is line one and power play one. So that's the piece that you got to move forward with. Now, whether or not that continues is definitely up for debate. I would like to be more assured of that than I think you possibly can be. You've heard me say it a million times. Like, Jared Bednar is going to mix and match these lines. He is going to rotate some people in around the core players on that power play. It's going to happen. So right now it's Landeskog. So that's the way that I would lean between the two of them right now. Nichushkin, I do think, has obviously all the talent in the world. His underlines are not that great at the moment. Uh, it's a small sample size since the return from the Olympic break, so I'm not trying to read too much into that either. Yeah, in terms of the other guys, Devin Taves, I mean, like the underlying suggests that he should be doing better. His point pace on the season, 24-point pace, is just kind of ridiculous for a player of his talent. And yeah, I just feel like he's probably better than what we've gotten so far. So there's something there as well.
And nothing for Josh Manson. 4 points in the last 5 games. Nate, are you picking up Josh Manson? Are you rushing to the wire to get this guy over the 50% mark?
I am not. I have to assume a good chunk of that is from people in Bangers Cats.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Josh Manson. The guy's a legend. And no love for Sam Malinsky either, but that's fine. He's not doing a damn thing out there, and he's getting terrible minutes. But let's move on. We got to talk about Dallas and another player that I think has got to be one of the main targets. We're going to talk about it. Matt Duchene. Obviously, with Rantanen out, Duchene is the main benefactor. He's getting on power play 1, and we've seen proof of concept there. Really good stuff. Essa Lindell is out there as well. If you know that works for you, mostly in bangers leagues. And then Jamie Benn. I think that's obviously Duchene is the guy we're interested in. What do you think about Jamie Benn?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the last 5 games, both Duchenne and Ben have 8 points. They've been
Yeah,
pretty good.
they're doing
And
stuff.
the on ice numbers are really good. 31st in on ice expected goals for Duchesne, 23rd for Ben. Even at 13 and a half minutes for Jamie Benn in some deeper leagues, I think you could stomach taking a ride with him for this week. Lindell is definitely more of just a streamer blocker, but he is on a 33-point pace on the season, which is places him, within the realm. Probably not in a week like this where you do have so many options,
Yeah,
but he is kind of in that conversation.
he's no Josh Manson. All right, pick up Jamie Benn. I'd rather I didn't. Okay. Beautiful head of hair though. Love the goatee, Jamie. Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, we got OEL. He's on power play 1 now, Nathan, and that's is that good? I don't know. Well, that power play. What the
Nothing
hell?
about the power play is good right now.
Yeesh. You got Jake McCabe, big time banger. Bobby McMahon. I'm interested. I'm interested in Bobby McMahon. Bobby Boucher. You got Maximus Domius, Matthias Michelli. I mean, talk to me about your Leafs. What are you seeing out there?
I'm seeing a whole lot of suckage, is what I'm seeing out of the Leafs recently. OEL looks good. Honestly, probably the best player on the ice for the Leafs the last couple games, which
Love that.
is horrifying to say,
Oh,
to be quite honest.
it went from good
uh,
to bad real quick. Yeah.
real quick. Yeah, I mean, McCabe, the banger option. McMahon, I think, is probably the most likely Leaf to get traded because I do think there'll be a bit of a market for a big guy who hits and skates and can score. So I think he'll get moved at the deadline here. Domi is playing with Matthews, and that worked for a bit, and now it's not working again. I just have very little faith in any of these Leafs performing for you.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And then we're going to go from the Leafs to Vancouver. Terrible. Before we go to Vancouver, I was just looking at a picture of Matthew Nyes, his neck. Oh my God.
He's a
Like
thick boy.
he looks like can you work out your neck? Is that because if you can, I think Matthew Nyes is doing that. Like I said this in the Discord, the guy looks like a fire hydrant. Like there's just a fire hydrant right on his head. His ears are the pipes that shoot the water out the side. You know what I'm saying? Is anyone getting this visual? Is this thing on? Let's move on. We got to talk about the Canucks. Unfortunately, this is depressed. This is a depressing segment of this here. Toronto and Vancouver. Yeah. So Brock Besser, everybody's on the trade table now for Canucks. They're all willing to move their no trade clauses. That's not a good sign, folks. All right, very bad. But Besser's, I love Brock Besser. I really do. I'm a big fan of that player. 42-point pace on the year. I'm not a fan of that. All right, that's not good. But he's going to get all the run there. He's going to get all the offensive minutes. Jake DeBrusk is out here. I mean, good power play performer. In spurts, right? Sometimes can play okay at 5-on-5, but that's a terrible, terrible promotion for him. Evander Kane, I think, is a nice stash, but I think if he goes to another team, he's not even going to get close to the opportunity he's getting here with the Vancouver Canucks. I think he goes and he becomes a third line banger, like kind of a role player that just kind of can change the tide with some grimy play in the playoffs. So I'm not really big on Evander Kane and his potential. Connor Garland as well. I mean, I love that player, but it's been a really rough season. He's an excellent play driver. He needs to be playing with offensive players, and he doesn't have them here in Vancouver. So any interest in these Canucks, Nate?
No.
What are you
Further
doing?
to that, I mean, you can look at the guys who are on power play one, right? Like DeBrusque is there, Besser's there, Rossi was there in the last game.
Yep.
A little bit interesting. It is so hard to be excited about anything going on there. It's hard to even stomach the click. Similar to Toronto, unfortunately, Blake, we have chosen the wrong teams. I think we can conclude this.
Yeah, sad state of affairs. Can we just choose another team? I think I will. All right, I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to choose another team. The Avalanche. I'm choosing the Avalanche. That's my team now, folks. Okay, or Dallas, or Vegas, one of those teams, or Tampa. Yeah, one of those teams, whichever one gets the furthest, I will make my choice when it comes to the Stanley Cup Finals. Anyways, let's move on to the last team here with 4 games, 3 off nights. It's the Vegas Golden Knights, and we're looking at Noah Hannafin, potentially 54% rostered. You got Ivan Barbashev, Jeremy Lozon, Riley Smith, Braden Bowman. Any interest at all? Like I like Barbashev, and I like his even strength deployment, and he does get power play too. He hits and stuff. Like any interest in these players here, these streamers?
Yeah, you could probably convince me to take a stream with Barbashev. He was playing again with Stone Eichel, which is obviously a good place to play or trade. It's not like exciting, but it's a player, and
Oh my
he
god.
might score some points. So there is that. I am really unconvinced that Hannafin is ever going to do anything special. Lozon just a banger. Um, yeah, Riley Smith is playing with Marner and Dorofeyev, which isn't a bad spot to be. Bowman is playing with Hurdle and Keegan Kolesar for what it's worth. I think probably it's Barbashev or bust for me with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Barbashev or bust. That's the name of your fantasy team. All right. That's
Nice.
that's that's how much Nate loves Ivan Barbashev. He's got that team name in multiple leagues. So, and we're happy about this. Is that true, Nate?
That is categorically false.
Oh God, what was that word you said earlier? Demarcate, demarcation.
Demarcation,
All
yes.
right, okay, all right. I'm gonna. You got the definition on hand there. I don't know.
It's generally a line of demarcation is the line between two different things. It's the line that's drawn that separates two different things from each other.
Nerd alert! Oh God, what the hell? You guys check out the nerd? No, all right. I was no, that was said to me too many times in high school.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's
that
talk about
took
the
a
St.
turn.
It did, yeah. Well, I mean, you see the result. So let's talk about the St. Louis Blues. They played 3 games with 3 off nights. And again, we won't go too deep in here because St. Louis stinks. But yeah, they don't play Monday, Tuesday, then they play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So we're looking at Colton Parayko. You got Dylan Holloway if he's out there. Man, looked pretty good here on Friday.
Pretty
Cam
good.
Fowler, late night beauty. I don't think you're picking up the late night beauty on a really good streaming week. I think you leave him to get home by cab and just hang out with his cats. I think that's the way I'm picturing Cam Fowler. Pavel Buchnevich, he's out here. Braden Shen, potential trade bait. I think, yeah, that's kind of a risky pick if you're really like, I got to get some Blues here, and then this guy gets traded. It's like, what's he going to do? I mean, I don't know. Jake Neighbors, Jimmy Snuggs. Jimmy Snuggs is the guy. We like him. And Philip Broberg. Like, any interest at all in these guys?
Yeah, I've definitely got interest in these guys. Buchnevich has 7 points in the llast 5 games. Snuggerud 6 in the last 5. Broberg has 4 in the last 5 from the back end. Neighbors 4 and 4. Obviously, Holloway had the game that he had. honestly, I do kind of like what's going on here with the St. Louis Blues in terms of the offense. They have a few things that are working right now. I do think that it's probably a little bit safer to go with the young guys here, with guys like Holloway or Snuggerud, and because yeah, I just see a lot of scenarios in which Buchnevich appeals to some other teams, and they might take him off the hands of the St. Louis Blues. So I think that those are the guys that I would prioritize currently. Would just be Holloway and Snuggerud if they're available in your leagues. But yeah, you could convince me on some others too. Buchnevich, it's hard to look past those points that he's put up, and the underlings are pretty good too.
All right. Well, I've chosen the Avalanche as my new team. Nate is clearly taking the St. Louis Blues, and that's good. So we'll see where we're at the end of the year here, Nathan. And before we move on, there are 7 teams that play 4 games with 2 off nights. We're not going to get into it, so check out the schedule yourself. Nate, talk to us about the Patreon.
We could do something like that. Supporter tier, $2 a month gets you Apples and Geo's Patron League eligibility. The $8 a month tier, the Apples tier, gets you that APL eligibility. Also gets you access to the patron only Discord channels, patron only live shows. Also gets you show notes for this show right here and the flagship show on the weekend. Apples and Ginos player evaluation tool looks a little bit something like this. You can see Matt Duchene's beautiful head of lettuce, and you can also marvel at his tremendous scoring prowess
Nice.
when utilizing the Apples and Ginos player evaluation tool. Now, Blake, the next segment is called the Dream Streams. Usually, this is a segment that I do, but I was away on business earlier this week, and so you put together this list here, this ranking of players for points, and so I think you should defend it, and I'll pick holes in it this time.
Oh, damn. You want to hear me talk some more? That's absolutely fine because I'm happy to do it, as you know, Nathan. Okay. All right. So I did make a list. I love how you did this, by the way. I thought Nate was going to take credit for my picks, and then he's throwing it to me. He's just, yeah, hedging. So that's fine. All right. Best for points. I've ranked the top 10, and these are locks, folks. Okay. Gabe Landeskog, number 1. He's only 33% rostered. We talked about why, right? Really nice ad for this week and into the playoffs, right? We talked about the Avs playoff schedule. This guy should be on a roster, no question. You got Matt Duchene. I think he's going to be must roster until the end of the year as well. He's 50% rostered. Patty Kane, 32% rostered. Definitely want to get him on your squad here for those off nights and the power play. And then we look at some Ducks. We got Troy Terry and Beckett Seneca at 4 and 5. I really think that, yeah, Seneca especially, like Terry, we got to look at his injury status here. Seneca is flying right now. 3 assists here on Friday. He's getting all the minutes. They got him out there in big situations. This guy looks legit, and he's having a great year, so definitely get him in your life. I've got Adam Fantilli here after Beckett Seneca. 49% rostered still, Fantilli. That's too low, right? He's getting it here. He's getting line 1. He's getting power play 1, and he's doing stuff out there. He's an underrated source of hits as well. So if you have that in your league, Fantilli does that in spades. After that, I got Ivan Barbashev, right? We talked about him with the Vegas Golden Knights in their schedule. And then at number 8, I got Anthony Mantha. He's getting power play 1 looks with Crosby on the shelf. So I think he could do a lot worse. He's a per minute beast in terms of points. What if they give him more minutes? Could he do more? I don't know. Just put him with Tommy Novak, and the rest will take care of itself, right? We know that, Nathan. Jamie Benn, I put that there literally for Nate. So, that's fine. 9% rostered, but he's power play 1 with Hintz out. We'll see what happens when Hintz gets back. And then finish it off with Brock Besser. Best head of hair in the biz. Nate, talk to me about the dream streams and where did I fall here?
I think it's a good list. I think the top 6 is the top 6 by a long shot, and then after that, it really does fall off a cliff. So Landeskog, Duchene, Kane, Terry, Seneca, and Fantilli way up there. I think I agree with your ordering, especially the top 3 here: Landeskog, Duchene, Kane. I will say, like, you got to check your schedule if Kane is the only guy who gets in for all 4 games, because he does have the 4 actual off nights. Then you might want to bump Kane over Landeskog or Duchene just for that purpose. Down the list, I mean, it's really kind of quibbling, it feels like, but I think I would take guys like Granlund and Kreider over guys like Barbashev, Mantha, Ben Besser. Yeah, I have a little bit more faith in what Anaheim's doing right now, and a little bit more faith in those players versus those ones that you had there. But yeah, that's the bottom of the list. Definitely a tier down. If you can get the other guys that were mentioned, you should do that.
Yep, I love that. I mean, take a look at the Ducks. There's so many options. So it's a really good piece there. Best for hits. I've got the top 6 here. Miss Clifton, Connor Clifton of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They play 4 games. This guy's crushing out there. Jeremy Lozon. I've got him next. Vegas with 4 games. Matthew Olivier. Holy moly. This guy, he's doing other stuff besides hitting too. He can put the biscuit in the basket at times. And obviously, if you're in a PIMS league, this guy's got to be rostered. You got Adam Ernie there on Dallas because they got the 4 games. Keegan Colasar, he does it all on Vegas. I love Keegan Colasar. Maybe not this year. Everything but score or get assists or really, drive play in any manner. And that's fine. But and if you're looking for Detroit, I did put Marco Kasper on here. He's the highest hit getter per game on Detroit. So, and he's widely available if you're looking for that. Best for blocks, ranked by me, Simon Edvinsson. I've got him as number 1 just because of the off nights, right? You'll be able to get him in every game. And plus he does that, right? He's really good. It is a smaller sample size with him because he's missed some time. But then after that, you're looking at Braden McNabb in Vegas. Guy's a unit. He's good to go. Big time block machine. Colton Parayko. I like him here. Again, St. Louis with 4 games. He blocks and he can get the odd goal, right? If he gets his efficiency going. Ben the Sharot. It's one of the worst nicknames I have, but I'm sticking with it. He's probably a nice person, but I hate associating him with Sharts, but it's what we do. We got a podcast. Anyways, he's great at blocking as well for Detroit. And then Matthias Samuelsson on Buffalo. This is a guy that is actually he's making a difference out there defensively. Obviously, the blocking is great, but he got a nice shout out from Hockey Stat Cards and Dmitry Filipovich on Twitter here. If anyone wants to go check out Dimitri's tweet, he kind of just shared the impact that Matthias Samuelsson had on this game here on Friday, and he was one of the best Sabres by far. So I think this is a guy that's healthy. He's coming into his own. He might be able to do something for you for your fantasy team. So talk to me about the Beefers, Nate. Anybody I missed that you want to throw in there?
No, I think it's a good list. I will say Clifton, like he definitely throws the body around a ton. He had 7 hits in the last game here, 5 hits before that, 6 hits before that, 6 hits before that. Problem is that he does get scratched occasionally, and so you are running a bit of a fine line there with the Pittsburgh defense. So you might want to be a little bit cautious on that front. The other ones I really like. I love Matthew Olivier if you need some hits in a week like this. If he's not rostered in your Bangers Cats, he's probably worth hanging on to in a Bangers Cats, to be quite honest with you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, love the list. That's what I'd say there. Let's move on to Hold Me Now. Hold Me Now. Hold me
I'm
now.
6 feet on the edge and I'm digging.
That's great podcasting. Everybody just threw their headphones across the room.
No, I backed away from the mic. I hope that was okay for everybody. Yeah, I'll fix it in post.
All right. Players who've graduated, gone over 50% roster. Jordan Kyrou, 53%. Jared McCann, 51%. The big list: Matt Zuccarello, Gabriel Landeskog, Matt Duchene, Patrick Kane. Troy Terry's down here at 50% again, so he gets on the list. Beckett Seneca, Elias Lindholm, Josh Doan, Josh Norris, Luke Evangelista, Jimmy Snuggerud, Mason Marchment, William Eklund, Chris Kreider, Jordan Eberle, Anton Lundell, Frank Nazar, Alexis Lafreniere, Ryan Leonard, and Cole Perfetti. For myself here, obviously, I'm going to want to highlight guys like Evangelista and Snuggerud. Marchman is one, like we saw a couple assists. We're starting to see, it feels like some chemistry building there with that top line that they've got going with Marchenko and Fantilli. Yep. I do feel like Marchman could have just a blast off finish to the season here. It's definitely within the range of outcomes, so that's pretty exciting for him. Patrick Kane, Matt Zuccarello, feels like we've been banging this drum forever. You got to pick those guys up if you want to score some points. Matt Duchene, if he's still available with Rantanen out, great pickup. And Gabriel Landeskog, line 1, power play 1, Colorado. Don't need to say more there. Talk to me about these holds, Blake.
Oh yeah, we got to get that song in here. That's now I just can't stop singing it. Yeah, there's lots of guys. I put some of these guys here on the back, like guys like Cole Perfetti. I'm interested. Like this guy's getting some run out here. He played 22 minutes. Oh no, sorry, that was Gabe Velarde. Oh God, No, he played 20 minutes and 37 seconds, but 4 shots, 6 Corsi, 3 scoring chances. He's been putting some points on the board. I think Perfetti is getting a little bit of run, and with Winnipeg playing the way they are here towards the end of the season, like he could get even more run. So, and he was getting power play 1 here. So really nice stuff. I like him, and Frank Nazar as well. I feel like that's a guy that people are forgetting, and he's still a young guy. He's making mistakes out there, but he's still getting the opportunity. He's still getting some good offensive minutes. So I like those 2 players there. What do you have to say about that, Nathan?
I think that all makes sense to me. Let's go down the list a little bit. So sub 20% roster. Josh Norris is 20% rostered. Then you got Evangelista, Snuggerud. Chris Kreider shows up here at 20% rostered as well. Nazar, Lafreniere, Leonard Perfetti, who we mentioned before. Jason Zucker, Bobby McMahon, and
Bobby
Brock
Boucher.
Besser are both here as well. Sub 10% rostered, so Evangelista is still just 10% rostered. Jimmy Stugger just 7% rostered. Aside from them, Jackson Blake, Alexander Wenberg, Igor Chinnikov. Chinnikov is just a wild story, it feels like how he was completely out of favor and he has 5 points in his last 4 games
How did Dubas
for
do that?
yeah, wild stuff and big time shot totals for him as well. Obviously, love him playing alongside Evgeny Malkin there. So that's really working. It's very low minutes, so it's really hard to envision it continuing. But well, it's working. It's working. So there's something there for sure. What do you think about the lowly rostered players? Anybody you want to highlight?
Not that I haven't already. I feel like, yeah, this is a lot of the same guys. These are the guys that are are going to help us the most, and the guys that are going to be widely available. So, yeah, I think this is well ordered. Josh Norris, what are we doing? Get this man on your squad. He's going to play until the wheels fall off. We know this,
Yeah, just that'll
and
be
they will
30
fall off.
seconds
Yeah, that's
into
the
the
problem.
next game.
Yeah,
Defense, honestly, it's pretty rough out there for defense. Jake Wallman tops the list now. Oliver Ekman Larson, Bowen Byram, John Klingberg is back getting power play 1 in big minutes, but he might be scratched the next game, so you can decide for yourself how how well worth the risk that is. Tony D'Angelo, Mike Matheson, Travis Sanheim, Zane Perek, probably not a guy you're picking up right now, but a guy who could have a good finish to the season still. Shimon Nemec, kind of same story there, waiting on a Dougie Hamilton trade potentially. Chris Letang and Drew Doughty, who obviously picked up that injury that we mentioned before. If you go sub 20% rostered, so Klingberg's 8%, D'Angelo's 14%, Perek is 15%, Nemec is 8%. And then you've got Uvis Balinskis at 8%, Sam Linsky at 18%, JJ Moser 19%. Pavel Menchikov goal and an assist tonight for Anaheim at
nice stuff.
1%. I think there is a little bit of something there the way that Anaheim's playing. Anybody you want to shout out here from the defenders?
Yeah, I like the fresh maker shout there. I think check Uvis Balinskis' status, right? He's day to day. If he comes back in, I think that's a guy like they put him on power play 1 over Ekblad, right? Ekblad was healthy and they still went with Balinskis there. I mean, it's he's not a big part of that power play, but still, that's a power play 1 defenseman with a bunch of good offensive players. So keep an eye.
All right, in net we have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Alex Lyon as a tandem here. Feels to me like they're probably going to rotate some starts here, so might not get the full value that you're hoping to get out of a Buffalo goaltender. Something to monitor. They may also move Alex Lyon. That's definitely been rumored out there for a while. Joel Hofer at 18%. You can get the Edmonton tandem if you want. 41% for Yari, 15% for Ingram. Ingram is looking more and more enticing to me at this point. I know that they like acquired Jari to be the guy, but if Ingram's outplaying him, they can't just wait around for him to get better. So there's that. Askarov at 41%. Montreal tandem, you got Montembeau at 35%, Dobish at 28%. Could be interesting, right? Montreal, good team here. Uh, I don't know if we should read too much into the fact that Montembeau got the first start coming out of the
Mhm.
break here. It feels like that should matter, but I don't know if it really does or if they just thought it was a better matchup somehow. Didn't go his way. 4 goals against on 26 shots. Yeah, something to monitor there because I do think if somebody emerges there, you'll want to have them. Sub 25% rostered for the goaltenders, Hofer, Ingram, then Merzlikins at 13% rostered is getting some run. There seems to be a little bit more juice to these Blue Jackets now with the coaching change made there, and Philip Grubauer at 22%. Any goaltenders you want to talk to us about, Blake?
Oh, I'm all over Buffalo. I think that team is playing so well, and yeah, I have UPL and Alex Lyon in a spot, and it's the same spot. I'm running a tandem, folks. It's not the best, but yeah, it's a league where there's not a bunch of goalies that I'm really interested in, so I'm just kind of rolling there. But yeah, I think UPL is going to be the 1A. That's kind of my thought, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them move Lyon with a guy like Colton Ellis, and good goalies in the system too, right? So yeah, it makes some sense. But Buffalo's really hot right now.
All right, let's round things out with the head-to-head streamer deathmatch.
Oh yeah,
Right now we have Blake's Jason
John
Zucker,
Jason, Big Pimpin.
15.5% percent points. We really got to wrap this thing up. 15.5 APL fantasy points for Jason Zucker so far. One game to go for Buffalo this week. I took Tony D'Angelo, 9.05 APL points for him with 2 games remaining. We will see how that wraps up. We got to make some picks for next week. I get to pick first this week, and I am going to go with Mason Marchment. Talked him up a little bit already. Guy that I'm thinking could continue the success that we've seen so far and have a big week next week. Who you got, Blake?
I got my boy, and this guy's not my boy, actually. I've never rushed him anywhere. Jonathan Marchessault. We got the battle of the marches. Yeah, he's getting power play 1. Nashville's putting some goals on the board. I feel good about this. I think he's trending upwards, and I want a pace.
All right. Well, if you have made it this far in the episode, click the link in the description. Donate to the Grindstone Award Foundation. That is going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully, it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. The advanced stats you heard came from Natural Stat Trick and 18 Skaters. Many thanks to Matt Creamer for supplying the music for the podcast. That's it, folks. Much love.